Hey, Recruiting World. It is Trent Cotton, author of Sprint Recruiting and High Performance Recruiting. And I want to spend some time just talking about the 7 traits of high performance recruiting teams. Now, before you ask, let me go ahead and answer the question. No, it's not scientific. But this list kind of comes from my experience over the last 20 years of both working on a high performance team as well as managing them. But I also did go and talk to several people that I respect in the industry, not your typical LinkedIn recruiter influencers that just kind of post memes and out there, people that actually manage high performance teams and got their input as well. So let's go through them. The first one is respectful conflict. All right, this is best described by, have you ever been to a very long, boring meeting where everyone's just agreeing? That's not high performance. Anytime that I've been involved in a high performance discussion, there's some heat involved, there's some passion, and it's not negative, it's not confrontational. It's everyone really is kind of surrounding and trying to help make a decision, presenting a lot of facts, arguing their viewpoint. And whenever I'm working with teams and go through their stand ups or go through their weekly meetings, whatever they have, and there's no emotion in the room, I'm thinking, okay, yeah, we got a problem here. Because high performance, they're just emotional and they're passionate about their work, and that's going to come out in the meetings. So the first one is respectful conflict. Next, of course, they are goal oriented. Now, let me explain what goal oriented means. All right. So, all of us in recruiting, whether you're on a high performance team or not, everyone has goals and everyone likes to work toward them. But the difference is that high performance teams are almost obsessed by achieving their goals, not just at 100%, but at 150%. So, whatever you set their goal at, they're going to crux it up about 20 or 25% because that's just how they're wired. So, just a quick funny story, kind of giving you an example. Of course, I identify as a high performance recruiting leader and I like working on high performance teams. Wasn't too long ago, my husband and I were going to a new location in Atlanta to meet some friends. So, of course, I go in and I put it in Google Maps and said, okay, hey, this is where we need to go. And I didn't even realize that how do you say, I was violating traffic laws. Let's just put it that way. I was cutting people off. I was trying to take shortcuts that I think that, this might be a little bit better than Google Maps. And finally, my husband says, what are you doing? And I realized I was racing against the time that it said. Okay, so as an example, it just said you'll get there at 2:30. In my mind, I wanted to get there about 2:25. That is just how goal obsessed like I am, and most of the people that I've worked with on high performance recruiting teams, they're just as obsessed. The next is accountable. If you do not have accountability on a team, then there's little to no chance that you're going to have high performance. And it gets back to that respectful conflict. So, high performing recruiters want to know that not only are they going to be held accountable, but also others on their team are going to be held accountable for accomplishing the goals. It's not hey, I want to make sure that this person gets in trouble if I do. It's more of, are we going to move forward together? And you've got to have that accountability. And I spent a lot of time giving a couple of examples in the book of times where accountability didn't work and times where it did. The next is they are intellectually curious. I joke around a lot. My nickname in school was the Riddler because I always asked why. I always asked questions. I didn't just take something at face value. And I also was always looking for a quicker, more efficient way to accomplish something. That's why I got B's in conduct. Made straight A's, but always got B's. Nonetheless, intellectually curious kind of means that they're always going to try to understand the why. And why this is important on high performance recruiting teams. If you don't have intellectual curiosity, I find that you don't have passion. It's just like you're being very transactional. You'll go through an intake and just fill out a form and then go to the search. Intellectually curious recruiters, at least in my experience of managing them, they go about the intake completely different. They really want to understand the job. They also want to understand and pick apart the feedback that's given on a candidate because they're going to use that to help elevate their search. So it's a very critical mindset that I look for whenever I'm adding people to the team. Next is bursty communication. So what the hell does that mean? Bursty communication, it means high performance teams, remember, they're goal oriented. They are making sure that they're holding themselves accountable. They're going to move at a quicker speed than most. They don't want to sit around for an entire hour in a meeting, just to get one answer. If you notice on high performance teams, if you have a group chat, they're the ones that come in, ask a question, get it, and they go right back to work. That's bursty communication. So as a recruiting leader, I like to give them different spaces to be able to do that. So I have done different threads in Slack or Teams or Google Chat where it's something fun. So if someone wants to crack a joke or share a funny story, they can do it there. We also had one that was standard operating procedure questions, and then we had one about like selling around or overcoming objections. And it was a great opportunity. Now, the kind of the drawback to that is that if you don't keep it under reins, it can be incredibly overwhelming. So what we did is we created what we called office hours. And it was different times during the day. All of us agreed that we would keep, let's just say it's 3 to 4 on Tuesday. From 3 to 4 on Tuesday, I have those chats up and I'm going to answer anything that comes in as a team member or as the leader. But up until that point, no one should expect an answer from me. And it just helped us be able to really kind of get into a nice groove and stay in that groove. So that's bursty communication. Grit or tenacity. These recruiters will not let something go in a good way. So I'd like to kind of warn people like, please don't tell me that I can't get this done because it triggers something in my brain to prove them wrong. And that's grit, that's tenacity. They're going to find a way up, over, through, or just create a new opportunity. And it's kind of fun to watch. As a leader, though, sometimes you do have to kind of pull them back and say, all right, it's time to move on, or what you're doing is not working, but they're going to continuously try to bust down that obstacle and get to a solution. And then the last is adaptable. Some of my favorite team members and people that I've managed have just been pliable wherever I put them. They just understand that recruiting is a very transcendental art across industries, across job types. You may have to learn a couple of new words or vernacular for that job or new sourcing techniques, but you kind of have the meat of being successful. And so being adaptive, you can put them in any situation and they're going to find a way to succeed. It's just how they're wired. And for me, whenever I'm interviewing, looking for potential new team members, do I find all seven? Rarely. A lot of times you have to kind of develop some of these skills. But if I find a recruiter who has this, I call it the trifecta, okay? The first one is adaptable, the next one is intellectually curious, and the next one is grit. If I find someone with those three, they're hired. Why? I'm going to give them a job. They're going to find new ways to source. They're not going to give up. And they're going to be quickly looking and being highly adaptable about how they're going to change their approach to the client, to the candidate market, to the candidate marketing. They're just going to go about it completely different than your average, okay, recruiter. So those are the seven traits of excuse me, let me try that one more time. 7 traits of high performance recruiting teams. I hope that you have an opportunity to read the book and get into some of the examples. I'd love to hear your personal stories or any kind of comments that you have about these 7 traits. And just as a quick reminder, they are bursty communications, respectful conflict, accountability, intellectual curiosity, grit, adaptability, and highly goal oriented. So, next, if you are interested in learning a little bit more, I want to talk to you about the rest of the book, which is 2 different sections. So we got the 7 traits of high performance recruiting teams. I also talk about the 7 environments of high performance teams, and then also the 7 types of leaders that they need. So I hope you stay tuned, hope you subscribe, and I can't wait to read your comments.